Hey, Magic fans, welcome back. This is your captain speaking here on Captain Clyde's MTG, and we had some more leaks from Phyrexia. Always one to come out. About 12 more cards came out after I posted my other one early this morning. So we're gonna go over those real quick because I went back through just to check see what's going on. I know a couple more popped up, so some of them came in midday, a couple of them came in later in the night. So I waited until early this morning to take another look. And here we go. We got 12 more cards to go over. Should be fun. They look sweet. And don't forget to subscribe. So here we go. First off, we have Mirian Safe House. That's a rough one. I'm going to guess that's a 3 up there, maybe. It says as long as Mirian Safe House is on the battlefield, it has all activated abilities of all land cards in all graveyards. That's very interesting. I really want to know if that's a 3. Because here's the thing. Uh, it makes me wonder, could you use this with Dark Depths? Also, could it be have an activated ability like an Ink Moth Nexus, Blink Moth Nexus, or any other card that's a land that would be in the graveyard? For example, if you put your Thespian Stage in the graveyard, this can then copy your Thespian Stage abilities. It's very interesting. If that's how this is going to play out, it's so hard to read, though. I hate to say that. It's going to be very interesting. So can't wait to see that. Next, we have Kaya Intangible Slayer. So this thing is god awful expensive. It looks like 2 black, 2 white, and 3. It's so hard to read. So it's 7 mana. It's a hexproof planeswalker. For +2, it says each opponent loses, looks like 3 life, and you gain 3 life. For 0, you draw 2 cards, then each opponent may, looks like scry 1. And then -3, which you can do twice, exile target creature something. Can't read the rest of it. Dang it. Sorry about that, guys. I just. Something about getting a 1/1 spirit creature token with flying. We'll have to wait till the real one comes out, but that's pretty interesting, especially for 7. There's no Phyrexian mana, so it looks like Kaya is not completed. So, interesting. Next, we have Tyvar, the Jubilant Brawler. This is another Planeswalker. It's a black-green 1/1 for a 3 loyalty. You may activate abilities of creatures you control as though those creatures had haste. Alright, so it gives everything haste, basically, for creature abilities. +1, untap up to 1 target creature, so kind of protects itself. -2 is mill 3 cards, then you may return a creature card with mana value 2 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield. Wow, that's good. Wow, is that good? Yeah, that's a 3 mana graveyard shenanigans at its finest. This is probably gonna be very popular as a 3 mana planeswalker. Um, yeah, just there's so many things you can get out of your graveyard for 2. I think this is gonna be a really high played commander for or commander planeswalker for standard. Plus in commander, it's gonna be pretty bomb too. So it's crazy cheap. All right, next we have Malakator Purity Overseer, blue, white, and 1 for a 1/1. When it enters the battlefield, create a 3/3 colorless Phyrexian Golem artifact creature token. Beginning of your end step, if 3 or more artifacts enter the battlefield under your control this turn, create a 3/3. So make another 3/3 Golem. This is very interesting. There's tons of ways to bring artifacts into play from the graveyard and other things. So I think this is going to be interesting to see how it plays. It's going to be great in Commander probably. If they can find a way to break this in Standard, this could be very deadly because it could just spit out a small army very quickly. All right, so next we have, hey, this one's readable. Rhea Ivor, Bane of Bladehold, black, white, and 2 for a 3/4 legendary Phyrexian Knight. Has Battle Cry. Whenever this creature attacks, each other attacking creature gets +1/+0. Haven't seen that in a while. At the beginning of combat on your turn, the next time target creature would deal combat damage to one or more players this combat, prevent that damage. If damage is prevented this way, create that many 1/1 colorless Phyrexian Might artifact creature tokens with Toxic 1, and they can't block. That's pretty interesting. That's that's a I mean I guess in a right kind of token deck or aristocrats deck. I mean it is black white 4 mana. It's gonna be very interesting in standard. I think this is gonna be easily playable in commander and all those aristocrat builds. It's a very interesting card. Next we have the Monumental Facade. Okay. Another sphere land. Enters the battlefield, 2 oil counters on it, add a colorless. You can remove an oil counter from the land, put an oil counter on target artifact or creature you control, activate only as a sorcery. So this being a land that doesn't take a mana to do that or anything else, you just put it in play and tap it. Uh, we've seen some other cards that once all the oil counters are gone, you lose the game. You could use lands like this to pump more oil counters on them, make them last longer. I don't know if that's going to be a viable strategy or not. But there is a lot of stuff going on with oil counters. This may be a thing. Next, we have Mirex, another sphere land. Taps for colorless. Add 1 mana of any color. Activate only if it entered the battlefield this time. Okay, so the first turn you play it, you get any color you want. After that, it's only colorless. For 3 and tapping it, you can create a 1/1 colorless Phyrexian Might with Toxic, and it can't block. That's very interesting. We're going to have to see if this is going to be a card. I mean, this could go into White Weenie because you can get a planes off of it once. Maybe that's enough. I don't know. Just because you can pop out 1/1s makes this card very interesting as a land. It could go also into like a blue-black control deck where counter spells removal and the land produces your win condition. It's also very possible. God, that'd be awful. Because this would almost be better than Mishra's Factory because they would have to block it. Yeah, this is, I don't know. This is interesting. All right, moving on. Next we have Mind Splice Apparatus. So blue and 3 artifact has flash. Beginning of your upkeep, put an oil counter on the apparatus. Instant and sorcery spells you cast cost 1 less to cast for each oil counter on the apparatus. Wow. Um, I think the best thing about this is not only is it going to make everything cheaper, but at the end of your opponent's turn, you can flash it in to get your oil counter so that they have to counter it on their turn so you can untap and get a turn to do something. At 4 mana, I don't know how good this is going to be with other spells, but I'm going to be honest with you. Like, one of these in a storm deck, if you can get this on the battlefield, it'll add to your storm, make everything one cheaper. Like, there might be some play there. It's great for commander. Um, I mean, it might be even good in standard. I mean, for 4 mana is not a lot, and as it starts ticking up and everything gets cheaper, it could really be a thing. All right, moving on. Monument to Perfection, 2 colorless artifact. For 3, you can search your library for a basic sphere or locust land. Wow, revealing it, put it in your hand. So it gets the old locust lands, the spheres, basics. This is just a land seek every turn. For 3, it becomes a 9/9 Phyrexian Construct Artifact creature token, loses all its abilities and gains indestructible and toxic 9. Activate only if there are 9 or more lands with different names among the basic, sphere, and locust lands you control. Um, I mean, so that's going to prevent that from happening often, and it's not a one-turn kill. But I think just the fact that for 2 mana and then for 3 you can just search lands up makes this a really good card. Um, Currently in standard with the heavy aggro that we're currently in, I'm not sure it's going to be all that great at the moment. In Commander, this is going to be amazing because you can just search up anything you want. Yeah, so you Commander fellows out there, this is for you. Next, we have the Bloated Contaminator at green and 2 for a 4/4 with Trampled Toxic 1. When it deals combat damage to a player, you proliferate. This thing is ridiculous. Like, I'm looking for the drawback. It's a 3 mana, 4/4 Trampler, Toxic 1. So they take 4 damage, plus get a poison counter if they just damage them once. Whenever it deals combat damage to a player, you proliferate, which means if they already have counters, you give them another counter. This thing should be a mythic. This is insane. Hell, this might be good enough for like a version of Infect in Modern, just because 3 mana 4/4s are huge. Plus, its abilities are just dumb. Wow, this thing is good. Holy cow. Anyway, next we have Encroaching Mycosynth. So, blue and 3, non-land permanents you control are artifacts in addition to other types. Same is true for permanent spells you control, non-land permanents, cards you own that aren't on the battlefield. So this makes me wonder, if you play this and you have that stuff that lets you cast free stuff on top of your deck for its colorless, does that work? If it does, ooh boy. This would be great in that Warhammer deck that's mono black artifacts. I mean, not so much because they're already artifacts, but you see what I'm getting at there. Um, yeah, this is like a pretty good card. I don't know if it's gonna have a lot of play in like standard or whatever. Probably gonna be more of a commander card for a couple bucks, unless I'm missing something. Next, we have Vindictive Flamestoker. So 1 red for a 1/2. Already like it. Whenever you cast a non-creature spell, put an oil counter on it for a red and 6. You sacrifice it, discard your hand, draw 4 cards. This ability costs 1 less to activate for each oil counter on the Flamestoker. That's really good. That's kind of like a Steamkin. Um, well, it doesn't get bigger though, so it still dies pretty easy. But still, the fact that you could draw 4 cards off of this is, yeah, just a thing. Yeah, I don't know. I like it. I think it's gonna see a lot of play, especially in red decks. Um, yeah, I think I like this. Seems pretty good. This might see modern play because modern has a lot more spells in it. Um, maybe this is a card it needs to replace the hasty um, goblin that gives lands. It doesn't have haste, but just the ability to zap your opponent a whole bunch, empty your hand, and then maybe for like a red and 1 or red and 2, sacrifice this and draw 4 cards. God, that seems powerful. So anyway, moving on. So that's all 12 of the cards that we just went over. Thanks a lot for watching, guys. I do appreciate it. It seems really powerful. I like what I'm seeing. It's going to be a fun set. It's really going to shake up a whole lot of stuff, even standard. So yeah, put in the comments down below what you think. Um, don't forget, still trying to get to 1,000 subs. So come on, guys, hook a brother up. For those of you who have subbed up, thank you very much. Don't forget, links in the description to the eBay store, Patreon, and until next time, be kind. And I hope to see you across from the game table.